G'day and welcome to the Follow Me Four-Wheel Drive channel. In this episode, I'm going to continue the build of the 40 series. I've got the body off of the chassis. I've got the chassis painted. The body's upside down. About to start fitting suspension. Cleaning up the diffs. There's one right there. Cleaning up the diffs and keep going with the build. All right, here we go. So one bright sunny afternoon, I decided to get stuck into the chassis, out with the sander and the wire wheels, etc, and I took it all back down to bare metal. It was looking pretty good. I rust converted it and got it all prepped and then hit it with the rust oiler. Sprayed the whole lot, looked really good, nice and shiny, and I was very happy until Mother Nature came and played havoc. I got hit with this overnight, which then completely destroyed all of the paintwork. So what did I do next? Well, the chassis is all sandblasted. Okay, I'm just doing a bit of work there. But I've run over it with a matte gas gun and dried it all out. It's been had the KBS system put over it. I've spoken to Steve at Lonsdale Paints, and he said to put it away and paint it tomorrow. So I've got myself a little bit of a crack in the chassis here. This is the only crack in the chassis. So I've drilled a hole to terminate the crack. I've put the jack in place there to basically push the crack back together, and then I'm going to MIG it. Show you the result in a second. Okay, so I've finished welding it up now. That looks all nice and clean. I'll just give that a bit of a quick prep with some zinc rich, just let that dry out, get these bushes out, get this whole thing prepared, and I'll start painting. I've now KBS the chassis, which has sealed it, and I've also put the nice UV coating over the top. It's been out in the weather, but I actually did that in the garage and left it for a few days in the garage to cure. I'm now putting the Old Man Emu springs and suspension in. I've cleaned up the diffs and given them a nice birthday. All my spring hangers and so on have all been done, and I've got the front in, and I've still got one more to go on that side, which I'll video for you. So there we have it. The rear diff is now in, so I'm going to grab the U-bolts, start bolting them up, putting the brake line bracket in, so we're all nicely scrubbed down and painted, and looking really good. Really suits the chassis. So the ARB springs only came with flat washers, but I'm actually going to add spring washers on there just for extra safety. So away we go. Time to knock the bearings into the hubs using a bearing installing tool. So they've been sandblasted and cleaned right up and painted, so they all look nice and pretty once the wheels go on. So I'll knock those in using the tool like so, getting the hammer and giving it a damn good whack, and then that knocks the bearing in. You wait for a definite sound there, just like so. Just like so, and the bearings seated home. All right, I'll get the next one done. Okay, so all the bearings are now, all the cups are now pushed into or pressed into the hubs. Now, so what I did is I bought this kit, Toledo kit on Mighty eBay, and it does everything. So when I push the cups into the swivel hub, that'll sit there beautifully and go in there nicely. All right, even you know, seating small things, running that backwards inside the housing, so you can run them that way or that way in the cone. They work both ways. Absolutely brilliant. Now you've got the high temperature bearing grease now to lap the bearings in. So I'll do all the bearings, chuck them all back in that box, fit the rear ones, put the rear seals in. This is one of the jobs that I hated doing as a kid and with Dad with his workshop, is lapping the bearings in, which I'll show you. Alright, so I've put the grease in the bearings, just lap those all in, putting high temperature bearing grease in. I've filled the hubs with grease, about to flip them over and give them a little bit more grease on the other side in readiness for putting the front bearings and onto the spindle shafts. I'm not sure if you can see, but the thread has actually been damaged here. So what I've got to do is get the thread file out. What I'll do is I'll match the thread first, making sure I've got the right pitch. Okay, sitting that inside there. Alright, that tells me it's a 1.5 pitch. Then it's a matter of running the thread file, cleaning up the thread. One 2.5 is too small. Definitely 1.5 because it fits quite comfortably. Those teeth fit quite comfortably into there. But just like a normal file, just running it backwards and forwards just to clean the thread out. There we go, we got the rear axle in, old man emu suspension, shock absorbers. Alright, unfortunately I've got to put daggy wheels on there for the moment, but new rims coming for the Mickey Thompson tyres. Okay, I'm going to put the front spring in now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that this here is going to fit comfortably. And sometimes you need to, after doing the KBS, may need to file the tough edge in here, but that seems to be good. Alright, so I can sit there for the moment. I'm now going to grab my pre-lubed bushes. Open up pot of grease. Make sure there's plenty of lube here on the outside and on the inside, but we're going to be greasing this up as well, so that should put plenty of lube in here, plus it's greasable as well, but just to fit it nicely, we get that in there like so. Now this is where the fun begins, the lifting and lugging. All right. And anti-inversion plates here. They're two different types. I've actually made a bit of a hybrid out of the ones from the late model ones for the early model, which then I'll clean this up properly with the get all this grease off of it so they look nice and shiny. There we go. So that's that in. Now, there's this plate. There we go. Spring all done. Okay, so the chassis is getting there really well. So we've got all of the old man emu suspensions put in. All of our brakes have been rebuilt, new bearings. Diff has been rebuilt, new brake lines. Just waiting for some new rubbers to come through. New brake lines and extended. This comes all the way across into here. So our brake lines right the way through. Steering box is done, battery box is done, front suspension's done. The drag link, track rod, steering arms and steering components have all been detailed, and new ball joints and all new components. Front suspension's in, old man emu springs with 2-inch lift, new brake lines, calipers rebuilt, swivel hubs all done. New swivel hubs, bearings, seals, gaskets, Front discs have been machined, and freewheeling hubs have been detailed and polished. Right, about to put the front wheels back on. As you can see, she's looking pretty shiny. Right, anti-inversion, spring plates for the springs, and once again another freewheeling hub. Right, very happy with the results so far.